Hi, I'm Katie Barnett from Pennsylvania Virtual Charter School. Today we are going to take a look at an activity that I use just about every day in my first grade classroom with my students when we're practicing reading. So reading research has evolved a lot in the last 10 to 15 years and showed the importance of a student being able to isolate and blend sounds together as stepping stones towards reading and becoming an advanced reader as they go. So one of the fun activities that I like to do with my students is on our blending board. So I have here individual letters written on very large index cards, but you could simply do this with regular index cards that you might have at home. Just write one letter per index card. You want to sort them by having the vowels in the middle, simply because this is a simple enough way for us to make words. It's called a consonant vowel consonant word, a CVC. They're very common and easily found in beginning reader words such as map or leg or rat. I'm sure you've all heard the word cat sat on the mat. Cat and mat are great examples of our CVC words. If you don't have the blending board activity out with your index cards, I will show you a variation that you can do with a piece of paper or a whiteboard and marker. Let's take a look at what the cards can do for you. So the first step is to have your student touch and say each of the letter sounds as we go. R, a, g. And then we want to sweep and say the whole word together as a unit. Rag. And the idea with this is to not do it fast, but to just do it cleanly. R, a, g, rag. So that as the students are making each sound themselves, they're able to then blend them back together. You can repeat it as many times as needed until the student is able to make the sound themselves. Once they've successfully read the word the first time, you can switch it up by just changing one letter. T, a, g, tag. Now, once your student gets a little bit better and they're able to read more, a great addition is to add a thumbs up for a word that's real or a thumbs down for a word that's not real. Let's try. Ooh, ah, g, lag. That's a real word. Ooh, g, leg. Also a real word. Ooh, lem. Not a real word. But this would be a great time to point out that this part of the word lem is in a longer word like lemon. So when students see lem in a word, they'll already know that they can segment that and sound it out. So let's take a look and see what this might look like if you didn't have your letter tiles and you still wanted to be able to practice the same activity. So all I have here is a whiteboard and a marker. You can also do this with paper and pencil very easily. We're gonna start with my word lem, just where I left off. Ooh, lem. And again, it's important that students are touching each sound or right underneath each sound and then pulling it together. We're gonna change one sound. Let's make lum. So again, not a real word. Lup, not a real word. But if we change this to cup, that is a real word. So you can have your student generate as far as down as they can write with different words, and then it's a great way to practice their fluency as well. Lem, lum, lup, cup, so that the students are then practicing saying the whole word as a unit instead of always just segmenting it out, so that the students are practicing both the beginning and the application of reading. So for students who are beyond reading basic CVC words, those short vowel 2 and 3 letter words, a nice addition to this is to be able to use the same activity but include blends, digraphs, and even long vowels. So let's take a look at what that might look like, continuing on our list. So I have my word cup, but I could very easily change this with a digraph to make shup. I could change this, keeping my SH, and I could add in a silent E at the end. Shoop. Again, not a real word. So you can very easily vary this to include variations for students who are beginning more advanced applications of phonics. These are some of the examples of great reading research-based activities that you will see students at PA Virtual engage in very frequently. I encourage your students to practice their reading, and I hope they're able to show you what they've learned.